The ACLU and several other civil rights groups are supporting a federal lawsuit to strike down a new Louisiana law that mandates the Ten Commandments be displayed in public school classrooms. These civil rights groups claim that they're protecting separation of church and state and that public schools are no place for religious indoctrination. The lawsuit arrives during Pride Month, when hundreds of government organizations, including educational institutions, declare their everlasting devotion to the cult of LGBTQ. Due to a concerted effort by militant activists, the United States has transformed into a country where displaying Pride and Black Lives Matter banners in a classroom is normal, but posting the Ten Commandments in a classroom is unconstitutional. With the culturally ubiquitous celebration of all things queer during the month of June, it can be easy to forget that the current phase of the civil rights revolution is relatively recent. During the Democratic presidential primary of 2008, both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton declared their steadfast support for the traditional definition of marriage as between one man and one woman. That very same year, California passed Proposition 8 with 52% of the vote, which went ahead and enshrined the traditional definition of marriage in the bluest of blue states. Both Clinton and Obama were most certainly lying about their real positions, but the fact that they were compelled to do so tells you much about the controversy surrounding the issue at the time. The fact that almost half of Republicans now support gay marriage, putting them to the left of both Clinton and Obama in 2008, also tells you a great deal about how quickly conservatives conform to power. Most LGBTQ activists in 2008 were still debating whether nationwide gay marriage was even a possibility, and in many cases offered civil unions as a compromise. In present-day America, voicing mild disagreement with the child mutilation ritual known as transitioning will get you fired from any major corporation or government position. The FBI, which has targeted traditional Catholic services for surveillance and intimidated parents who oppose gender indoctrination in schools, now proudly posts pictures of its agents marching in pride parades. How did the LGBTQ ideology go from a controversial issue that even left-wing candidates had to distance themselves from to the official state religion in less than 2 decades? The modern interpretation of the Establishment Clause in the First Amendment has been an unmitigated disaster. In the mind of most Americans, it's created a separation of church and state that bans even the mere acknowledgement of religion. And yet the Bible was the foundational text of Western civilization for over 1,000 years. Even those who didn't personally believe in Christianity were still steeped in its language, understanding that the archetypes and narratives contained within the Bible form the basis for their shared culture. The idea that students could understand Shakespeare or Milton without being deeply familiar with the holy text was considered absurd. By expelling biblical education from public schools in the name of secular neutrality, we effectively banned Western culture. Now our children speak the shared language of gay race communism instead. Hey guys, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Job Stacking. More paychecks, less hustle, working from home, that's what job stacking is all about. If you're a remote or hybrid worker looking to maximize your earning potential, then consider joining the Job Stacking Mentorship Program. The program is designed by Ralph Haltza, the creator of Job Stacking, to help you successfully implement a strategy that will allow you to collect multiple paychecks from different jobs without burning out or getting caught by employers. Job stacking has already helped many people double or even triple their incomes. Luke Hill, a financial analyst living in the UK, has used job stacking to stack 3 different jobs and went from making $5K a month to $15K a month. But job stacking isn't just about increasing incomes. It's also about helping our guys gain more independence by no longer being a slave to debt or a single employer who hates their values. Andrew Gustafsson, a credit analyst from Australia, is now stacking 4 salaries, which he has used to pay off his personal and student debt and buy a home for his family. If you don't currently have a remote job, no worries. The program is also designed to help you land remote jobs so that you can go ahead and get started. So if you want to double your income and stop relying on a single paycheck from a woke employer, go to jobstacking.com/start now. That's jobstacking.com/start now and book a call with Rolf today. The idea that institutions can be governed by secular neutrality is a lie. All human institutions require a worldview that guides their decisions and coordinates their actions. No matter how objective or neutral the goals of an institution pretend to be, they're always guided by a set of values and beliefs. When Christianity was purged from American public life through a radical interpretation of the First Amendment and civil rights law, an ideological void was left at the center of our institutions, and nature abhors a vacuum. LGBTQ ideology stood ready to fill that void. The modern notion of separation of church and state has a very specific set of legal triggers. Religions make claims about metaphysical deities, hold certain scriptures as sacred, and generally congregate in collective places of worship. If an ideology fulfills the same function as a religion, but does so without the formal trappings of a church, then it can evade most of the restrictions that theoretically exist to keep our institutions neutral. Every institution must be animated by a set of principles, a philosophy or an ideology that guides its actions. With all of its religious competitors legally barred from filling that role, LGBTQ ideology became the victor by default. Progressive secular humanism, call it wokeness if you'd like, combines the most hostile portions of queer theory, racial grievance, and Marxist oppression ideology into the gay race communism that now rules over every major American institution. Corporations, academia, law enforcement agencies, and media entities turn June into the new American Ramadan, honoring the unofficial state religion. Any of these organizations could face endless lawsuits for the most basic display of solidarity with the Christian faith, so instead they worship the gods that they are allowed to honor. To be very clear, the victory of wokeness did not come from compelling arguments made in the marketplace of ideas or the swaying of hearts and minds, but from the legal incentives created by a delusional belief in institutional neutrality. If conservatives want to live in a country where the Ten Commandments are less controversial than puberty blockers for 10-year-olds, they need to abandon the modern fantasy of neutrality. The question is not whether your nation will worship, but what your nation will worship. Anyone pretending otherwise is simply looking to smuggle their own beliefs in the back door. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do so. I'm sure you guys know that with election season being upon us, that means that censorship is going to be ratcheted up by big tech. They love to go ahead and deplatform, demonetize, outright ban people as the election draws closer. If you want to make sure that I can keep doing what I'm doing, you can go ahead and support me by going to shopblazemedia.com. There's all kinds of great merch there. They just put a lot of stuff in there from the debate. There's a Trump Revenge Tour t-shirt and everything. And they're also working on merch for my show specifically. So if you want to go to shopblazemedia.com, you go ahead and enter the Blaze10 code to get 10% off your entire order. That's shopblazemedia.com and the Blaze10 code to get that 10% off any of the merch there. If you'd like to get this broadcast as a podcast, go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to the Auron MacIntyre Show. And when you do, leave a rating or a review. It really helps with the algorithm magic. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter or Gab or Substack, if you'd like to watch these videos on Rumble or Odyssey, the links to do all of that are down below in the description. If you want to go ahead and pick up my book, The Total State, you can do that on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, or at your own local bookstore. And of course, you can read all of my columns and catch all of my shows over at The Blaze. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I'll talk to you next time.